travels take us into DeSoto County, known as its long heritage of cattle ranching for 200 years. Going southeast on State Road 70 from Sarasota, we enter the small town of Arcadia. State Road 70 goes right through the town as Magnolia Street. And if you want to go into the center of town, you make a left here. This was the Arcadia train station, the depot. Atlantic Coast Line opened this brick building to serve Arcadia in 1911. Passenger service ended around April 30, 1971, and the rail line would be removed around 1980, which was on that street side. Developers renovated the building a few years later to provide commercial office space, retail outlets, and they also have a local history museum in there. That big oak tree straight ahead is the oldest tree in town, and the building next to it is one of the few that survived the fire in Thanksgiving Day 1905 when the whole town burned. It was an office building. Now it's been turned into an inn, the Oak Park Inn. Making a left, going west on Oak Street, this is the place to be on weekends and during special events like rodeo championships. Most of the buildings we see are built around 1906, 1907, after the mentioned fire. They are very well kept up. In 1984, more than 370 homes and businesses were placed on the National Register of Historic Places. There's the famous old Opera there on the right. We will be visiting as soon as we park. Good antiques there and lots of history. And on the left is the famous Rattler's Old West Saloon. Being a weekday, the town is almost deserted. Some of the antique stores look closed. It's easy to imagine this town back in the day with horses and buggies and Model Ts in the early 1900s, and remains almost unchanged, probably because of the generations of predominantly cattle ranching industry. People come for rodeo 2 times a year, the Watermelon Festival in May, and year-round for paddling and fossil hunting on the Peace River, and for antiquing and home cooking here downtown. We found parking for the RV at the Methodist Church parking lot here off of Oak Street. We will park and walk the main strip. Well, we're ready for some antique shopping. Looks like we got the whole town to ourselves. Now let's get started. I'm waiting for the good, the bad, and the ugly to show up here. And Tuco's probably at the old gun shop over there looking for pieces to his gun. Oh well. Look at that big nutcracker. Bobby. U.S. Marine and U.S. Army. When it comes to antiquing, there's no place quite like the old Opera House Museum and Shops. It dates back to the 1890s and was rebuilt after the 1905 fire. Cool. This place houses 15 to 20 antique and memorabilia dealers. It's interesting. There's a lot of stuff in here. Cool, look at this. Those are 10mm. Paint department, take a number. So the beginning was a opera house, then transformed into a silent film theater, and eventually talking films, and today holds all these kinds of memorabilia and antiques. Then it also has some unwanted guests. If you believe in ghosts, you can come here and see if they manifest for you. One of the common areas where they were seen often was by the stage, kids playing by the steps here. There was a large orphanage, they say, in this town, and so people believe the kid spirits are still where they had a good time. You know, if they did happen to pass away, it was a pretty interesting story. But they didn't manifest themselves to us.
Circus World. I don't remember any place called that. You want to see what a Zenith TV looked like? The first Zenith TV. Bobby,
you're missing everything.
if at first you don't succeed, do it the way your wife told you. Life is too short to argue with stupid people. An apple a day will keep anyone away if you throw it hard enough. That's a good one. Wow, these things are cool. Remember when we went somewhere? Oh, the caves. We went to a cave and they showed us how they cut these. So, TMS Furniture Corporation, 1906, City of Arcadia. Wow, look at that Cadillac, man. That's made out of metal. That is cool. Alka-Seltzer.
I spoke to the gentleman that was working out here earlier, and he told me that he was stripping the paint off the original copper and brass window frame. That's tedious work, but I bet you it'll look great when it's done. Well, it's time to get on the road again. We had a great time. I wish we could stay longer to try some of the home cooking at the restaurants we heard so much about. But one thing I can say, Arcadia is definitely not your average Florida town. Ghosts, antiques, and cowboys aside, it sure lives up to its ancient Greek city with the same name. Arcadia lives the simple country life.